Hey everyone, I'm back. Sorry it's gone for a little while. As I said, I'm going to need some time for myself sometimes, and this was one of those times. But tonight, I'm here to analyze some charts for you. So let's take a look at some of the trending stocks today. We got Hertz Global Holdings. And if you're wondering, Hertz, what's Hertz? Is that the car company? Absolutely, it is. And it is continuing to rocket to the upside. It's the highest it's been since March 2020. So it's been over a year since it's hit these heights. It's breaking out right now. One of the next resistances we're looking at is the weekly upper Bollinger Band around $9.30 and the weekly 150 period moving average around $9.85. But I don't think those resistances will be an issue. We're looking right at this resistance up here, $8.89 today. The high was $8.90, so it topped out right around there, but it closed strong, showing strength going into tomorrow. It's a little bit far from the red line, but if it really has a big breakout day tomorrow, this red line would catch up. But what I would look for on the safe side is either a gap up. You want to see a gap up, a little bit of a pullback to set a support, and then you can enter a position and have your stop loss just below the high of yesterday, just below the gap fill. And if it goes any lower than that, might be a bad sign. But if it gaps just slightly up, you have a stop loss close by, could be a good potential entry. The safer thing to do is wait for it to pull back and consolidate around this area, form a bull flag, and let that red line, the 4-period moving average, catch up before looking to enter a trade. That would be the most ideal scenario. So take a look for one of those. If it does gap up, it's possible it just gaps up and sells off down to the red line, the 4-period daily moving average. So keep an eye out for that. That's why I say if you do buy on a gap up, have your stop loss fairly close by around yesterday's high on the gap fill. Because if it fills that gap, then it would probably suggest some weakness. And there's some news behind it. Apparently on June 30th, Hertz, a recent announcement from Hertz said they'll be exiting bankruptcy as soon as the end of June. So this company was set to go bankrupt, and it looks like they're out of the hole. So obviously, that's why the stock is going up over here. It had an interesting pattern. If you look back, it had a big pennant over here. And it actually broke bearish out of that pennant. Broke fake out bearish here, went back in, but it broke bearish. It faked out. And there was a volume spike near the low, and then it set a higher low, and then it began an uptrend where it set low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, but a higher low again, lower high, higher high, and it just continued this uptrend of higher lows and higher highs that it has been setting. And that pattern has not changed yet, so it is still in an uptrend. That's taking a look at Hertz. Let's also take a look at NIO. Pretty big breakout today. Looks kind of healthy when you look on the daily here. It had this nice consolidation, almost looked like a bearish head and shoulders was forming, but it was a failed pattern. The bulls came through today. They're breaking out to new highs. I was bearish on this stock. A lot of people are bullish. I was bearish because of the fact that EV stocks are quite a bit high and their profit margins are very low. It costs a lot of money to produce cars and their profit margins are very low. I was thinking EV stocks were a bubble, and that was back then, and they did crash. Are they coming back? Is it a bubble? You let me know in the comments. If not, are they coming back to set new highs? And that's the question that it will tell us whether a bubble popped or not. If this goes on to set new highs and consolidates around that area, that would obviously be a very healthy move for the stock and suggest potential continued upside in NIO. And if NIO can do it, there's a high possibility that Tesla can as well. But you see the charts are a bit different. You look at Tesla over here, and it still hasn't broke to higher highs compared to April. But if you look at NIO, NIO has. So NIO is clearly the stronger EV stock out of the two at the moment. Tesla did hold its low several times down here, multiple times. And this is a very clear support area around $540, $550. So bulls obviously want to hold that area. We're quite a bit above it right now. So there's really no concern in the immediate term for the bulls. Tesla's looking fairly healthy. Is this a breakout gap right here and a bull flag? I guess we're going to look to see what happens over the next few days. Are we going to get a break lower and a fake out and go up? Or are we going to get a break lower and fill this gap? Or are we going to get a breakout to continue new highs? I would look for a break of these inside bars to suggest the potential direction that the stock may go. If it does pull back, I would wonder if it's going to hold this gap or not. If it holds this gap and doesn't fill this gap, that would suggest that the stock is strong and on an uptrend. And it is on an uptrend right now. It's got high, low, high, higher, low, lower, high, but higher, low, higher, high. It is on an uptrend, Tesla right now. Palantir getting a lot of press this week. There was big volume the other day, but didn't sell off. It went higher today, so that shows strength. Some big money was buying. It's pushing higher on fairly low volume. Still riding that 4-period moving average. Palantir is looking fairly strong. I don't know if there's any news coming up, but it's interesting. You look at Palantir's chart, and it actually looks kind of similar to Space's chart, where Space dumped this low. Well, Space was worse, but then Space just can't push right up. Big volume at the low, pushed right up, and almost getting to new highs over here. Palantir's working on something similar. If you look at Palantir, and you look a little bit at Tesla, and you look at Space, you look at NIO, it's clear that money is moving back into growth stocks as of late. Fisker, another interesting one, very similar chart to the rest of them. So the market tends to follow each other. There's a lot of correlations in the market where stocks move with each other. So if one EV stock is strong, then it tends to influence a lot of the other ones until the leaders come out and dominate their place in the market. Then correlations start to fade. Fisker is looking interesting over here. I'd look for some potential consolidation unless it can pass above today's high of $20.61. If it can't, we'd look for a couple days consolidation, healthy consolidation before deciding the next direction on Fisker. AMD playing catch up with NVIDIA because NVIDIA is just absolutely rocketing all-time highs, blue sky breakout. Bulls ended at the high of the day. It's still showing strength. High bull volume, but not a volume peak. You've seen that volume spike the other day, and it was a reversal candlestick, and it did reverse temporarily, but there was high volume the next day, so bulls clearly were there to buy that dip. It held that previous low, and it continued this daily uptrend on NVIDIA, so it still looks strong. It's a blue sky breakout. It could still push further before some consolidation. Now, if we do look on the 4-hour time frame, it's a little overbought, but not too crazy. It looks like it's starting to consolidate healthily. Look for a potential little bit of a pullback, but this chart is still healthy, so NVIDIA could run more. Shopify, something similar. It's been consolidating for the last several days around these levels, around $1,800. This is on the Canadian ticker. Looks fairly healthy. Upper wicket profit taking today. We're going to want to see it push above today's highs and the highs from these last few days to suggest continuation up to probably that $2,000 mark Canadian on Shopify. Looks pretty strong overall. Blackberry held the gap. This is notable because I look at gap fills. When a gap up fill, if that fills, I look at it as bearish. But in fact, Blackberry did not fill that gap. The gap was at 1161 was the high of this day, and the low of this day was 1176 US. Blackberry held that gap. It was an indecision candlestick. A little bit higher volume that day than previous days, but not significantly. It filled the down gap, which shows strength. So I see some good signs on Blackberry's chart that it's holding and not filling this gap. That shows strength, and that it filled this down gap over here, and that it closed above the 4-period moving average, showing some strength. Blackberry could still be a big cup and handle forming on the weekly chart. So we're going to keep our eyes on that because there may be opportunity here. And while everyone forgets about it and think Blackberry's a dud, there might be something brewing. So keep your eyes on that. We don't have confirmation yet. We're going to want to look for a break of this area to suggest potential continuation, and that's around $13.50 US. And again, if we could run up and pass these highs, these recent highs, $20.17 US area, that could suggest a lot more upside potential coming in Blackberry, but that's a long ways away still. Right now, we want to break this high, 1350, pull back, set a higher low, and then push to a higher high and change the trend back in favor of the bulls, because right now this is still on a daily downtrend on Blackberry. Microsoft continuing to hit all-time highs above $2 trillion market cap. There's clearly a lot of money involved in Microsoft. And you look at this chart, and you can't argue with it. This chart is just beautiful over the long term. It consolidated for years, over 10 years after the NASDAQ bubble pop in the dot-com bubble, many years, and it's just been breaking out steady ever since breaking those highs up here from 2000 dot-com bubble. Microsoft continues to look strong. You know, Bill Gates, he has a lot of pull in the world. It's not a surprise that his stock continues to go up. Apple looking good overall. It held this support to the dot. So we're looking, can it move up all the way up here to this clear resistance trend line? I think it's possible, and that's around $155. But if so, we're going to look for it to happen probably sometime midsummer or later, as I don't think Apple's just going to skyrocket right up there. We're going to look for some healthy moves before heading up there, unless the whole market starts to turn around. But the NASDAQ is breaking out and strong right now. Coin, I've mentioned this double bottom several times in previous videos. Coin is breaking out. Bulls want to see a break of this area right here. It's around $250, and a break of that would leave a lot of short sellers sitting in the red and would leave a clear double bottom on coin on the weekly. It's above the 4-period moving average on the weekly, showing a lot of strength. I think coin is changing its direction. Look for a potential pullback, some healthy consolidation before breaking this critical resistance area and heading a lot further and changing the trend back in favor of the bulls on coin. ATAI, I'm not sure how you say it. ATAI Life Sciences, ATAI Life Sciences. Big volume on that first day. Where was most of the volume? It was mostly at the high. So this candlestick up here from 1870 at the low to $22.91. Bulls want to break above that range to suggest continuation. So a lot of these guys are sitting in the green because right now they're sitting in the red, and that's going to provide some resistance up at these highs over here. But if bulls can make a push, set a higher low, and then make a little bit of a cup and handle or a V-shaped recovery over here, then bulls can see some follow through on ATAI Life Sciences. Otherwise, bears would be just looking to set a lower high on the weekly chart and then head even lower. So I would look for a temporary push, a little bit more of a push, some consolidation, and then a push higher if I was a bull. If I was a bear, I would be scouting for a lower high on the weekly chart, but there's no signs that that lower high was set yet. VacQ, Vector Acquisition Corporation, this is in the space industry as well, and it's getting some play today. Clearly, this is a breakout today. It broke this critical resistance over here. Healthy consolidation for the last several months, really over a month, been healthy consolidation. Nope. That was since June 9. Sorry. But weeks of healthy consolidation on VectorIQ. Looks like it's breaking out now. We could see some continuation there. It's got a clear base around that $10 mark. and it's in the space industry. So it's getting play because space was getting play, and space, a lot of stocks that are correlated to space and space exploration and anything of that sort. And because Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin and stuff, they're all generating a lot of hype right now. A lot of money is going to any stocks that have anything to do with space. And that might include Lockheed Martin as well, but it was slow today. But I think its time will come. Okay, Facebook, big news today. Facebook, the antitrust lawsuit was dropped against them. You saw in the middle of the day, there was this big breakout once that news was announced. But it's funny because the stock was already looking really healthy even before the news became public. It made this nice cup and handle formation, and then it just broke out with a bang. And if you entered your trade over here on the break of this cup and handle, on the break of the high of the day, you made quite a few percent pretty quickly on Facebook, and there's no signs that it's weakening anytime soon. It's breaking out, blue sky breakout to all-time highs. Facebook stock getting a lot of play right now. I think it's a great long-term stock. And last but not least, or perhaps two more, AMC, still in this consolidation pattern. Funny is that it looks pretty healthy. I mean, you have to wonder, is this thing going to go a lot higher? Anything is possible. So we're looking at this triangle. We're getting really close and really tight near the end. Bulls are obviously looking for a break above this triangle. It's possible, and if it happens, it could see a lot more upside. AMC. Who would have thought? Is this a weekly bull flag forming on AMC? What bulls are going to look for is a break of that upper resistance line. And more importantly, a break of last week's and that previous week's high, $64.96. This is a big critical resistance here. And if bulls can pass above here, then they'd be looking at that all-time high around $72.62. And obviously, if bulls are able to pass those two clear resistances and last week's high of $63, then it could suggest a lot further upside. And we don't know how high this thing will go because there's no previous price history. It'll be a blue sky breakout. Risky stock. I'm not suggesting anything here. This is just for entertainment purposes only. But the chart as of now doesn't look too bad. I thought it was making this bearish head and shoulders, and it did, but there was no follow through. Bearish head and shoulders, shoulder, head, other shoulder. Didn't break. Bulls are coming back. Now we got a little bit of a bull flag on the 4-hour. AMC could be due to continue higher. And let me check one more I was thinking to look at. What was it? A few other ones. VMEO might be getting some play. New stock on the market. All-time high apparently $58. Look for maybe one more day of consolidation before looking for a potential breakout on VMEO. We want to see a healthy pattern form there. And last but not least, Alibaba. Clear double bottom over here. Look for some consolidation in the short term. Pull back towards that red line. Potentially make a bull flag. I think Alibaba's changing direction. It's been on a downtrend for a while, but we got a clear double bottom here on the weekly chart. And a lot of these online names, Amazon, Shopify, they're all getting play right now. And Alibaba's in the same industry, and Alibaba's one of the more undervalued stocks. And they got Alipay. They're a big growing company. This stock may be underpriced, and it may be due for a continued uptrend from here. So keep an eye on Alibaba. Wow, there's so many to talk about today. And Wish. Look at Wish. Broke the high here, faked out. Upper wicket profit taking. That was clear if you look on the short-term time frames, because you would have seen that those volume spikes near the highs, and that suggested volume spikes near the highs after an increase often suggest a temporary reversal. We had a little bearish head and shoulders there as well on the 15-minute. I think we're going to look for some consolidation here. Bulls ideally are going to want to hold that 8-period moving average on the daily. It's around $13.30 right now. Bulls want to hold that, consolidate healthy before potentially continuing further. Or it could just drop back for this week, probably look for a cool off this week and wish before potentially continuing higher. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I'm going to drop more videos on the indexes and more. Have a good night, guys. And remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, and check out the course as well if you want to learn how to read all these charts for yourself.